Episode number 2, Winning 11, Team Talks. We aren't lonely anymore, Boris.
We're not.
Not at all. I feel the love in the room, the love in the space, because there are 3 people here in this chat. And if you're on the video feed, you see immediately who we're talking about. The thumbs up from the bottle opener there. And if you're on the audio feed, well, let the man himself introduce himself.
They're friends, more like family. I'm Rafa, part of this wonderful footy family we have going. And what can I say? It's been many years that we know each other, and here we are getting to ready to dive a little deeper.
Yes, to another level of Winning 11, man. Thank you for joining on episode 2, man. We're excited.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what's going on? What are we doing?
I don't know. I'm a little thirsty.
What do you got
don't
today?
Say. Well, the host here, the host with the most, has his favorite brewery on hand, Half Acre, and I'm drinking an IPA, seasonal, spring, summer, called Vallejo. Here's my crack.
Crispier than last week.
Oof.
Are they getting colder?
I can smell the pine and the citrus wafted up in my nose. And I found that special glass I was talking about in the shape of a World Cup trophy.
That's beautiful. Look at that pour. That's the good thing about doing a video, because people can watch us. They can see just the pour. Well, there's a little bit. You got a little beer on that foam?
That's about two-thirds foam. But whenever you have a very, very lean, tall glass, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead with mine then, since this is a Sketchbook. I wouldn't say it's my favorite brewery, but it's definitely my top 3. This is from Evanston. It's called No Parking. It's a pale ale. And I guess it's about, they named it after, in the beginning when they started the brewery, they literally had no parking. So it's kind of funny. So let me hear this crack here. And I'm using this mug from that I bought in Ottawa, Illinois. All right, man. What do you got, Rafa? What do you got tonight?
That is wonderful, refreshing, out of the freezer, imported directly from Wisconsin. The one and only Spotted Cow.
Look at that.
I haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And is more excellent on draft.
But I've never had it on draft.
No pop. Just this.
Our first bottle of the podcast. This is a seminal moment here. I feel like that thing's actually going to be recycled one day, unlike our cans.
Are you pouring that in a mug, or just like out of the bottle?
No, just out of the bottle.
Straight to it. First sip.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Boris, so I get the impression that maybe you did a little bit of research on your brew this week around.
Yeah, I've been really just hunting down and what would be the best beer for episode 2, and then with special guest is Rafa. But I ended up just choosing a local brewery, because I was all over the place this week in Chicago, but I ended up with my local, as always.
Is that story of the no parking lot on the can?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, I was like, how would you do some?
Oh no! I've been. I go there like once a week. I'll stop by for a beer over at the Sketchbook in Evanston on Main Avenue, on Chicago Avenue. I go there all the time, literally once a week after work. It's usually at one time at some point of the week I'm finishing up literally blocks away from there. So I just gotta have the coronation of the day and have a beer. And usually the bartenders are super nice and they'll just talk to you about everything. And that's why I bought it, because that was the story. It's sold.
Beautiful. Rafa, so where is was this a trip up to Wisconsin you brought it back from?
Yeah, this was our so far. It was our July/summer outing to the Dells at the Great Wolf, and couldn't skip a chance to head up the local Walmart, pick up a case. You know,
Can you imagine? I mean, being a kid and going to Wisconsin Dells. I mean, because I wasn't a kid and I didn't go to Wisconsin Dells, but
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Oh, you didn't go either, Rafa?
No, I wasn't even here. That's a kid.
Oh yeah, okay.
and
Well, that's something we need to dive into. But yeah, I didn't grow up here, so the whole Dells phenomenon is sort of a novelty to me. But yeah, I gotta imagine your daughter loved it. Right?
Yeah, she did. I mean, we've been taking her since she was born.
oh wow, how old is she now?
6 years old.
Wow.
End of May, 6 years old.
And I've got to think every year is just a little bit more rewarding in terms of like how much bang for the buck you get in terms of entertainment and rides and water features and stuff.
For the kids, it's just great. They go all day long playing, running, the water, this and that. A funny story about this time around is this is the first time she's gotten sick while we've been out. And we've traveled internationally, we've traveled locally, and this is the first time she caught some kind of bug. So she didn't get to enjoy the last day and a half. She was completely miserable, zero energy, but we'll make it up to her before.
Well, good thing she's got a good mother and a good father like yours.
We hope so. We try.
So are those resorts, like, are they themed? Like, are the rooms kind of in the style of the name?
Correct. With both Kalahari and Great Wolf, and they're both themed. Obviously, being like a safari, animals, Africa, blah blah blah. The Great Wolf is more of your cabin, bear, native kind of feel to it.
Okay. Are those the main two, or there's one called with the bear in the name, right? Like 3 bears or something? Does that ring a bell?
The other big one is the wilderness, I believe.
Okay.
Then you have your old school, Mount Olympus and all the other water parks that have hotels.
Man, that's like an inevitability in the next couple of years in my life and family. And it's intimidating to like go out there and do that water stuff and be around all these kids and families. I don't know. I'm not ready for it yet. Maybe in a few years.
Focuses on their own family. Everyone's there just with their family, with their kids. They're doing their own thing. You just cross paths in the pool while you're walking, going back to your room. Never people are usually always nice and pretty cool.
Quick chug.
I did a little bit of research on my beer this time around, and I was thinking it was this beer, Heyoka, which was like my favorite beer of all time at Half Acre, that had to switch its name for various reasons. Turns out it's not that at all, but apparently it's named after Boris Vallejo, the artist who made the can art.
Hey, we got something common there.
Yeah, how about that? There's a little connection
this
there.
Beer is from, you bought that at the Bullmore location over at, what is that, Lincoln Square, or what is that?
No, I just bought it at the local liquor shop.
Because we got the, I have the name, and Rafa, you kind of grew up in that area, right? A little bit, like in Lincoln Square, somewhere around there, in Chicago.
So I grew up right in that old Irving, Six Corners, Portage Park area, all the way through pretty much right before I got married. So,
oh wow, when did you move there?
We came into the neighborhood in 2001.
Oh wow!
And we at first were staying with an aunt in Old Irving, my dad's sister. And then once, obviously, we saved enough money, we got an apartment a few blocks away, right off of the blue line right there on Irving. and we were there for many, many years until right sophomore, junior year of high school.
Oh wow. Okay. And then you came with your whole family, your mother, your father. Did you have your siblings as well?
Just my sister. Yeah, we came to. My dad came first to get started, and we actually arrived in New Jersey for the first 2 years when we came from.
You Jersey kid?
Jersey for the first 2 years.
I mean, at what age was that? What age did you?
That was at 10.
10. All right.
That was at.
So you're 3 years prior to Boris's 13-year-old arrival in the U.S.
Actually, it's pretty similar. I arrived when I was 11 in 2000. It was July 17th of 2000. That's when I arrived. I arrived in Lincoln Square.
I don't know why I thought 13. Maybe you just never corrected me every time I've ever said it.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. 11, 12, 13 years old is the same. But that's good. And you came, Rafa. I didn't know you had a sister. This is what we're doing. This,
Yeah, actually, I got many sisters. They're half sisters. From my dad's first marriage when he was a kid. He was a wild dude, a good-looking dude. He was an ex-Navy dude.
Yeah.
And, off of his first marriage, had many, many kids. So therefore, I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers.
And they all live in Chile, or where do they live?
Most of them are in Peru.
In Peru.
And we have a couple here in the States. And both my half brothers are also in Peru.
Oh, okay. In the States, but they're not. No one's here in Chicago?
One here in Chicago, yeah. Yeah, she's out in the burbs, out far.
Oh, nice. Cool.
We see her here and there. But yeah, big family, a lot of culture. There's a lot of people don't understand when I tell them where I'm from, but
what is it they don't understand?
Well, we are by bloodline Arabic, first generation for my dad. My grandpa migrated from Palestine to Peru and therefore had his kids there. My dad, his 2 brothers, and his sister. And then on my mom's side, she is a second generation from Spain. A lot of people are. All her family came from Spain and went to Chile. As far as the reasons, on my mom's side, I have no idea why they left Spain and why they went. On my dad's side, obviously my grandpa, all the stuff that was never ending in Palestine back then at the moment. Britain had aid and controlled somewhat of the Palestinian people. I so happen to still have his passport, which is a British Palestinian passport, which is super interesting piece of history.
Wow.
How do you get his British passport through the? How does someone come about that?
So back then, it's been a never-ending issue with Palestine and war. Currently with Israel and all that. At the moment, Britain kind of had control, or were occupying at the time, and I don't know all the details, but at that point in time in history, they were the ones issuing their passports, which was, it's crazy to me. But
was it some kind of like lottery or something, or was just what did you have to do?
No, I think it has to do with occupancy, kind of like how do I describe it? How kind of like France, you still have some Caribbean islands that, even though they're dependent, they're pretty much French.
Right.
I think it was like that. It was a point in time where Britain was there and I guess had control of things at the moment.
Okay. So then your father moved to Chile and met, so one's from Chile, one's from Peru, and then where did they meet? Where did your parents meet?
So that's a good story as well. My dad, after he left the Peruvian Navy, he, for some reason, got into bus driving, and he became one of the top drivers for at the time was the biggest company in Peru, and they did international trips. So they went to Peru, to Chile, to Argentina, Colombia,
international bus.
all over the place. And my parents met because my dad was the driver of the bus my mom took on her first big vacation. And she was traveling as a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, to Ecuador with friends as like a big vacation.
Like a backpacking?
Like taking a bus, yeah, it's you know.
Oh man.
My dad was the driver, and so the story goes that, as soon as she got on this bus, we're talking about how many days trip from Santiago to Ecuador. We're talking about like
what 6 days.
It's 2 days from Santiago to Lima, Peru, to the capital, and then probably another day or two to Ecuador.
Yeah, so it's like a 6-day trip on a bus, I guess.
Yeah, and so she tells the story that the whole time my dad was pretty much mean mugging her out of the mirror he had in the front, looking back and checking her out, and kind of trying to make eye contact and whatnot. And then he purposely tried to hang out in Ecuador to try to catch her coming back. And the craziest part of all this is they actually hit it off. They were dated for like a couple months and were together ever since. So
persistence.
My mom ended up moving to Peru, while old school Spanish grandpa, very hard-headed, very hot-tempered, was livid. He can't accept this. Aside from his young daughter going to Peru, my dad was 20 years older than my mom.
Wow.
This was absolutely unacceptable. You know what I mean? So that all went down. It ended up working out. Eventually, my dad and my grandpa got along great.
So he would come to visit in Peru. How long did they live in Peru?
My mom was there with my dad for, I'm going to say about 8 years.
This is Lima or where?
It was first in Lima, and then they moved to a city about an hour 20 north of Lima called Chancay.
And that's where you were born?
No, I was born in the city, but that's where they had a house. My sister was pretty much brought up there. And then after I was born, they spent some time there briefly. And then when I was 2 or 3, after all the communist regime had already ended and Santiago was pretty much stable, they decided to go back to Chile. My dad was done. He didn't want to drive, be away for weeks at a time. So they went back they moved to Chile at that time. And that was 89 or 90.
Wow.
When they decided to do that. And then same thing, my dad started driving locally, and eventually he moved on to like a CTA system. And he did that for many years. My mom went to school. She got her, she did her hairstylist, beautician, all that thing that they do where they get certified for everything. And then eventually they got the call about the visa, which was a whole separate issue because my uncles, not to intertwine everything, but hopefully everyone can follow this. But my uncles were professional soccer players in Peru. My dad's brothers, the two of them. When they retired playing, obviously, since they had the means and they had passports and they, traveled with teams and whatnot, they were like, we're going to move to the U.S. So they came over in the 60s, early 60s, and planted in New Jersey. Hence why we went there first, because we had a foundation. And why not? So in the 70s, one of my uncles asked my dad, hey, do you want me to do the paperwork for you? What do you think about coming to the U.S.? A lot of opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Well, me in that time, we weren't in the picture. We weren't born. I think he might have just been meeting my mom. Fast forward 11 years, 1995. The embassy calls. Hey, you guys got the visa. You guys are accepted.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Wow.
It takes so long.
Wow.
we're gonna get you guys going. Blah blah blah. And 1995, we were in Chile, but everything was done out of the U.S. because my dad was living in Peru at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to drive to Peru to do all the paperwork. So we did it by bus, obviously. So we all went to Peru, processed all the paperwork. We headed back to Chile, waited for all the stuff to be accepted, and then my dad took off by himself.
Oh my God.
He came first.
He came first to New Jersey. My half sister had been living there for years with my uncle, separate, of course. My half sister married a guy that was a baker, so they had their own bakery or storefront. So they were doing okay. Handed a hand to my dad to come work, save some money. 3 or 4 months later, he bought all our tickets. Then we came over to New Jersey.
Nice.
So was there like a night where you came home and this announcement was made that these visas were being offered to you? Do you remember that? Like,
I think no. At the time, I think my parents took it upon themselves. I was too small to even realize the impact of what was going on.
Sure.
And obviously they decided. My sister was devastated because she was in her early teens.
Wow.
In a school, and she took it the hardest. She had the hardest time. When I arrived in New Jersey, they put me in a Catholic school called St. Mary's. Well, at St. Mary's, although New Jersey is pretty much all Spanish kids, none of the kids wanted to talk to me in Spanish. So that first year that I was in school, the couple of friends that I made were just English. And
that probably helped you though, in a way, to learn English.
No choice, learn English really fast. And it was a good thing for me on the English aspect of it. My sister, on the other hand, she went to a public high school where they offered bilingual classes. So half in Spanish, half in English. And to this day, my accent's not that heavy. But if you talk to my sister, her accent's super heavy and you can tell. And I think that has a lot to do with it, of the different opportunities and the age difference. And the fact that she was kind of spoiled with the bilingual classes. Although it might have helped her, she still has that heavy accent.
So you were in your 5th grade, 6th grade, is that?
So since the school times are opposite, I came in and basically finished 4th grade again.
Oh, wow.
It was like towards the end of the year.
And there was no sort of ESL instruction then?
At the time, they offered some ESL, but that school that I was at they kind of helped you just kind of push through and, try to help you get bumped up. So 4th grade into 5th grade, I got bumped up.
When you say bumped up, you mean what is that?
They kind of let me slide it into 5th grade.
Oh, into the thing. Then
I had finished 4th grade already, right?
Yeah.
And because of the time difference of the school system, I had to come in and kind of finish 4th grade again.
That's good.
Even though I didn't know English, the teacher was like, "Okay, it's fine. You can go into the next grade."
That's really good, because I had the opposite thing, because I was almost done with my 6th grade, and when I came here, I had to start 6th grade again. And then similar situation to, with ESL, they had after school ESL programs, but all it was in English. And it does really help when you kind of get just thrown in there and just regular English classes. It's a little hard at first as a kid, but I think in long term, it's just the best thing you can do for the child, instead of just like helping him and continuing with their language.
Yeah,
definitely.
I can tell you guys that the first year was not fun with those kids. now it's funny looking back, but I have a deeper understanding of all these families that come to the States and they're fresh and they're trying to, get ahead, educate their kids and get better opportunities because, half of the kids, I remember the first day of school, after my half sister had taught me just the basics, hi, hello, how are you? And what's your name? Because she was like, they're going to ask you, what's your name? What's your name? So the first day we're at lunch, and I'm going to be candid, of course, uncensored per se. We're at the first lunch, we're sitting on the table. I sit down with everybody, with all the dudes, because back then it was like the boys sit at one table, the girls sat at another, like barely any mingling. And I'm sitting at the end of the table, all the kids are approaching, they're just talking, laughing, blah, blah, blah. And then the one Dominican kid, Manny, he's like, hey, do you have a dick? Do you have a dick? And I'm like, no, I don't know, no. And it was just so to them, you know what I mean? It was hilarious.
Man, kids can be cruel.
Right, and then after they got their laugh, he bust out his Spanish like, oh, yeah, we just messed around. They're asking you, if you have, whatever. And but that first year was tough. I was literally like the see in the movies. I was the foreign kid, the one that my mom always sent me to school with the right uniform, and for some reason the kids were like, oh, look at him, he's got his uniform on, and I had the comb over, by the mom book, slick,
yeah,
everything.
Really nice. You're taken care of by your mother. Your mom was blowing away.
Right. Mom was blowing away. Foreign kid, can't speak English. Everyone kind of looked at you like, it's just the foreign.
Yeah, no, I've got to say, this is a surprise to me that you didn't know any English when you came to the U.S. because you are somebody. When I first met you, I didn't consider an accent at all. I just kind of thought you were always a native speaker and maybe had English instruction when you were growing up. But
yeah, we had, I kid you not, one English class before I came to the States. And it was a joke of a class. Like
Sure.
The teacher barely knew English. And what they would do is they would teach us basic, like the colors. And then they would teach us a song in English. But there was no correction of that's not how you say it, or that's, this is that, or whatever. And that was it. And then we came here.
Do you remember the song, or because what song are we talking here? These songs are important here in this podcast, by the way.
I only remember the last phrase, which was it always ended in next week. And the reason I remember is because next week the milk.
And next week.
So everyone would say next week instead of next week.
all right, father's got to go put his baby down. So you guys keep it up. I'll jump back in a second.
You can keep it rolling. Oh man, thank God you got a second to talk. So I wanted to ask you, because we have similar backgrounds in a way. We both grew up in South America, and the stuff that you're saying resonates with me because I did have classes like learning English in Argentina as well, and they weren't they weren't great. I feel like it was never the need. Hey, this is for your own good because at some point you're gonna move. So I don't know. But so you grew up mostly in Peru, I would say, and it was like half and half in Chile and Peru. Like, what do you, if I had to ask you, like, what do you identify with? Do you identify with both countries and with USA? So you say, hey, I feel like I'm American, but I'm from the States here, but I also feel like I'm from Chile. I'm also from Peru. Like, what do you feel?
No, so
if someone comes and asks you in the street, hey man, where are you from?
No, I Peru and Chile always. I don't feel American at all. But I try to explain to people that my heart and most of my close family is in Chile. So I do lean a little bit more to Chile as far as my culture and my family ties, where my heart is, and that's just, it's inevitable, obviously, because I spent all of my memorable childhood in Chile with family, with my parents, doing everything you do as a kid over there.
Yeah, I'm guessing you started playing soccer in Chile.
I started playing soccer in Chile. Yeah.
What was your first memory playing soccer? What is it like the first day?
Oh man, we only played right outside of our projects because we lived in a project. A lot of apartment buildings.
When you say project, what is it? Just a bunch of like apartment buildings, and they have like a park in the middle or outside, right?
Correct. It's just typical projects, just like here, apartment buildings. And so I lived on the building that was right in front of the field. And in Chile is customary that we played on concrete. It's a concrete soccer field. It's a futsal.
You play football, Bobby?
You play fulvito, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to learn how to play because you don't want to fall on that concrete floor.
Yeah, I grew up playing in the same. Did you grow up playing with like number 3, the number 4, the small ball?
Whatever we had.
Whatever you had.
Whatever you had. It doesn't matter.
But when you played in leagues, did you play in concrete as well growing up, or did you switch to like grass or something?
I actually didn't start playing organized till I came here.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to play in school because I was too small in Chile, but just playing with the neighborhood kids and growing up and playing that style, right? You have to learn how to play because you don't want to stuff.
Very, very technical. Very technical.
Very technical, you know. And we would just, obviously we play with the lines, even though we had concrete walls that were about a foot high. And a fence, you have to learn. You can't just, you don't do the little, let the ball roll out. Nah, you can't play like that.
What do you mean you can't play that? So I feel like, in your style of play, you're a very technical player. You're smart. You're good with the ball. Your first touches are good. But that all really comes down to when you started playing over there, and then also the freedom that you had into trying and playing street ball with the kids. You can try. You have the freedom to do anything if you want to pass the ball. If you don't want to pass the ball or anything, I think in a way it helped you, because if you would have, sometimes I feel like these organized teams playing here at a young age, they don't have the freedom to kind of do stuff. It's like they're being told, what to do at all times. Just pass the ball. It's like they don't have the, how can I say it? It's like an art to it. Sometimes I feel like it's too by the book, They're not loose, and I feel like you have that. You feel you're like a loose player up there,
I also think that maybe that family tie thing has something to do with it. You know what I mean? Everyone in my family, on my dad's side, they're all good players, even though my uncles were the ones that played pro. My dad played, but he stopped playing, obviously, and he went to the Navy, where he started having kids at a young age. But yeah, it's just here, and I speak from experience coaching 8-year-olds. The basics are behind.
They're like, is it too much structure here in a way that kind of slows the process of?
No, it's just people tend to. I don't know. It's just different. The culture is soccer's not embedded in the culture here. Now we're starting to see that. But for us growing up, my first memory, it's always been my uncles played, my cousins loved soccer, family getting together to watch the '94 World Cup at an uncle's house. I mean, no matter if your team was playing or not, we were just. Yeah.
Did you ever get out of school, like when Chile was playing? It's like, hey, dude, school is canceled. We gotta watch this game, right? Did that happen over there?
No, I didn't get to live that because I was too young.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had that in 1998. Like you were in class, and it was Argentina playing versus England. I mean, there was no class.
Well,
we just went to watch the game in the school.
That happens to this day in Argentina, in Peru, Colombia, in all of our South American countries.
Like the country stuff.
It shuts down. People know. Oh, everybody's watching the game. Where whatever.
Yeah, Richard's back.
I'm here.
Everything okay?
Good enough. Who knows? It's been a rough week, guys. It's been a rough week.
Yeah.
When are you back to work, Richard?
On Monday. So this is sort of the final days of freedom. But
you guys do the week before for staff, right? I could see.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of in-room classroom setup and all that stuff next week. A lot of nervous happiness, reuniting with colleagues and all that stuff.
And you, same kids you're teaching, or is it always like new kids? What is it exactly? You have a certain grade that you teach, or?
Yeah, I'm 5th through 8th grade, and because I used to teach at the elementary school, these are kids I used to teach in 2nd grade coming in as the 5th grade class, and then the 6th through 8th grade are all kids that I had last year, aside from, kids that are new to the school this year. But yeah, so in that way, like there's minimal first impressions that I need to make, and I think that's where a lot of the teacher anxiety comes in, when you have to like totally introduce yourself to a new round of students. I don't really need to do that as much.
I would guess you have a little experience on that. You've been doing this for how long already?
It's my 11th year now.
Oof, 11th year.
I know, man.
And it still feels the same every single year in the beginning.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the first years were really tough, but when you guys are talking about like the kids coming in and not speaking English and everything, it's a real topic of interest to me, just because my school has quite a few non-native speakers, and a lot of them do just kind of hang out with their friend groups, and you feel like they don't really make significant advances year to year. Like there's so many distractions with their Chromebooks and everything like that, where it's like, and so many allowances made by teachers, and you just wonder, it's like, man, these kids have been here since 4th grade, and like they're not, in 4 years they're not really fluent. So you sometimes feel like it should be this more sink or swim sort of mentality. But when you have significant populations of Polish or now Ukrainian, Spanish speakers, then it is possible to kind of just make friends and find the teachers that speak Spanish as well, or Polish, and go through it that way.
And you've been doing some you've been getting some Spanish classes lately, right?
Yeah,
yourself.
Don't test me on the spot, but
no, man, I'm not gonna test you.
No, it's fun. I got my this is my 15th italki session tomorrow. Italki is like a language tutor program online where you connect with tutors from all across the world. So I've got this guy from Bogota, and he's awesome. Just enjoy talking with him. He's patient with me and like encouraging, and yeah, I recommend it to anyone.
We're very patient with you. We can totally talk to you in Spanish patiently.
Yeah.
No, until I can just like ease my way into a conversation between you guys, then I'm not going to attempt it.
Teach them the important things like cerveza, asado.
Cerveza, asado, amigos, motocicletas. It's funny because our relationship with Rafa, when we talk to each other, it's kind of like a mix. But I feel like when we're in Spanish on our own, it's all Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah, you gravitate to that. Yeah.
No, now I understand why. If you guys were both up until age 10 speaking exclusively Spanish, like there's got to be some sentiment there, right? Like some.
Well, yeah. You got to remember that all these kids, although you came here, you learn English. The Spanish doesn't stop. Your parents don't speak English. Your family don't speak English. It's still your number one. You know what I mean?
Okay. And there's so much Spanish media too. Most of it's Mexican broadcasts, right? But you'll still watch it, right?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't watch it.
Actually, when I came, it was funny because when I arrived and I used to go to school in the morning, and there was this like, I was half awake, just the TV was on. I was watching this like Despierta America, and I think, I don't know if it's Telemundo. That was so odd. It was Univision. It was just odd to me. It was like, it just sounded, when it was like literally first weeks coming in, it just didn't, like, remember they so different. And it was a nice TV show. I actually watched it for quite some time. They still have that right now, right? I like that show.
They might have the name.
Yeah. Despierta America was like on at 6 a.m.
You know what's pretty cool about learning Spanish or revisiting Spanish, because I did take 4 years in high school, but kind of like that English instruction in Santiago, it's like it's kind of a joke, my high school Spanish. Yeah. And but you know, now it's like it's so accessible where I can turn the radio dial or turn on a Telemundo or whatever, and then like use that as practice, where my whole experience of learning German or Vietnamese, it's just like so impractical in a way, and it's so hard to maintain outside of like finding podcasts or really searching for stuff. So, you know, and then there's just these instances where it's like, you know, I'm at the store and I'm overhearing people, and it's like, that's kind of practice in itself. So
yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, you were pretty good with your Vietnamese.
Yeah,
I remember listening to you kind of conversate with Lou a little bit, and I think somebody else.
Yeah, back when I first got back from Vietnam, but now it's like, you know, once you don't practice anything, it just goes away, unless it's riding a bike or playing the game we love. Right. You know? But we should get back to that game we love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do we get back to it, man?
In about 6 months.
Yeah, you got 6 months to go. How's that therapy going for you?
Therapy's going good right now. I'm at the stage where I'm ahead of the plan, and this week has been very tiring. Doing a lot of. My legs are just getting super tired. I beat, and that's only 1 hour of therapy.
But still.
But yeah,
this is Mike Wxitt hooking you up?
Yeah, Mike's my therapist, man. Mike's a man.
Woo! How's he doing? What is it going there? It must feel kind of. You must feel so like at home, like in such good hands, you know.
EP2, the doctor in physical therapy, you know. Good. Actually, Mike is off this week. He's enjoying Hawaii. And then I was back to the States for a wedding, 2 weddings, one in Hawaii and one here, if I'm not mistaken. So we're waiting for him to come back. I should be seeing him on Tuesday, I think. Should be back.
Okay. So he's treating you okay?
Yeah, of course.
You just gotta make sure you can tell us.
He hasn't even gotten started yet.
No, I mean, there's
nice
few people.
We can have
there's few people I would entrust with my body and health more than Mike Wxitt, I feel. You know, I had the rare experience, the rare privilege of being an assistant coach next to him at Ridgewood High School, kind of a connection to many of the footy fellas. And, you know, this was my first experience teaching or coaching high school. And he's just such a, you know, he knows his shit so well in terms of, you know, drills and things like that is my weak suit.
Not only that,
totally.
He loves tactics.
Yeah.
You know, things that a lot of people don't see that are soccer fans that just watch a game, but he's analyzing and dissecting the whole time.
Yeah, if there's always like this part of me that means to get back to all the videos that he shares, but I rarely do.
Videos, yeah.
But
I wish I watched more of that, you know?
Yeah, no, I love when I do watch it. It's like, this makes sense, and then it's fascinating. But you just gotta go out and do it.
It's funny because Tom is the same way. I feel like he's such an analyzer as well of the game, and they're both very similar in that way on the field as well. They really do give it all, and they're always dissecting the game.
See, I see. My interpretation of Tom is like he's sort of a by the numbers guy. I like how he almost sees statistics as like this, you know, it's the end all. And he talks about how emotion, once you bring that into your betting and stuff like that, then you've lost because it's not a hearts game. And I like that Tom is like this businessman, and I think maybe Mike brings more of like this romantic element to it, but I mean that's just a fascinating dynamic those two got going on.
We're glad to have him on the field. Man. I feel like I'm not playing it this season, and then Rafa's out, and so are we the three that are currently not playing?
No, Richard's out, Bondi's out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else on that growing list, but yeah, no, I still want to go and support and everything. It's I'm not sure what the kickoff time tomorrow is. This might be post publishing date, so it's all irrelevant. But no, it's fun to being on the sidelines. You know, I think once you can just accept that you're not going to get a workout, you're not going to feel that kinship on the field, but you can still, you can still live vicariously through the guys you love and root for your team, and it's good to be vocal on the sideline. So
yep,
something to that.
Yeah. All we can do.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you see some other teams, they got guys who come and support and everything, and it means the world. You know, who doesn't like to play in front of fans?
So when are you going to be back, Rafa? You got a few months, and then what is it? 4 months you'll be able to play.
We just got started, so probably not till next year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's just there's 2 tiers to recovery. So aside from your physical, you have your mental, and then from there you have your time frames, as Mike told me, that are very important as far as when you're less likely to re-injure. So that first goal is 9 months, and then the second, it's 2 years, but it's nobody waits 2 years, obviously.
Are you going to continue playing as a forward, or are you going to start seeing if you start changing your position?
No, I don't think positioning is irrelevant. Things are going to happen. Injuries will happen. Unfortunately for me, they've both been pretty much once I hit 30. On the first one, I actually recovered very quickly and was cleared at 5 months. So in 5 months, I started practicing and coming back. Obviously, the doctor's like, you can go back to your activities, but don't just go and jump in a Friday night game and, give it your all. It's like gradually start practicing, going back and get in rhythm, get your touches, your work, blah, 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 and go from there. This time around, I have a better physical therapist, and he has already told me that we're going to be working a lot harder than the first time, although they're different legs, the issues. And he told me, obviously by now there's been way more research, more understanding of what we can do, or what like you said, what we can wait. He wouldn't advise me to play before the 9 months, even though I could be fully recovered at 6. He wants me to be like at my best. It's going to be less likely for you to get hurt at 9 months.
Yeah. I mean, he needs you on the field at your best, man. That's why I think there's very biased. He's not just your physical therapist, but he's he's the guy that's going to pass you the ball. So he wants to make sure that once you get the ball, you're scoring.
You also got to be comfortable. You got to be good with how you feel. But yeah, I'm patient. Been there, done that. I can go through the motions. I know for some reason it feels like a long time, but 6 months is not, a crazy amount of long time. It's just, you got to put the work. I'd be a month out of surgery Saturday. And I pretty much have all my range of motion back. My quad muscle is really strong for being a month out. So yeah, feeling okay.
No, I really admired how decided you were in just getting it done as quick as possible. I mean, there was no mulling around. You knew the path in front of you, and you jumped it, and now you're in it. But
there's a saying that we have in Chile that I don't know if other countries use it, but we say, you put your chest to the bullets. You gotta do it as it comes. You gotta adapt, overcome, and it is what it is. We got to move forward. We got to get on with it. We can't give up. We can't pout. What are we going to do? I refuse to be one of those people that gets depressed or just thinks too much about stuff. And I try not to stress over things that you can't control. Just got to move forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. What about
I mean,
you,
I know
Ricky?
what you mean, but I'm not going to do that. It sounds like a lot of bullets in the chest, and
I mean, just one bullet, I mean.
I'm like, my motto is like paint gun, like take all the paint guns in the chest. I feel like I'm more swayed by like external factors and or not external factors, but like I don't know. With mine, it's a totally different procedure that could be on my horizon too. So there's these kind of questions about what activities are really priorities for me. So it's kind of a different thing. But do you feel like there's a lot of similarities in this recovery to this stage that from your first? Like, is it all kind of familiar?
It's familiar, but for some reason, I feel like I'm having a little bit harder time this time. Like I feel more soreness. I don't know if it's because I'm more aware second time around, but I also think that what helped the first time was from the moment I had my injury and to the fast forward to when I had surgery, it was almost a year. This time around, it was much, much quicker. It was about a month later, a month and a half. And I actually had 2 really bad bone bruises from the injury. I think now I'm kind of paying the price a little bit as far as the soreness goes, because my bones are healing, obviously, after the procedure, after the holes they have to make, the taps, and the graft that they have to put. My bones were still healing from that bone bruise, and then you get a procedure on top of it. So now it's like, I mean, it is what it is. It's not crazy. It's not horrible. It's not bad. It's just, it just takes a little longer.
What do you? I mean, post recovery, post re-debut. I mean, beyond playing for our club, like, what do you guys see as your long-term goals for continued soccer play? Is it like you look at guys like Freddie who are out there in their mid-50s, 60s, like Joel playing, seldomly kind of thing? Is that where you see yourselves as playing on a club or playing more pickup in, 10, who knows, 20 years time?
I don't know. I think time would tell, but I definitely have always told myself staying active it's number one. No matter what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, when you're older and you have the same type of injury, which is the most common sports injury around nowadays, is your ACL. But if you're an older person that is planning not to be active anymore, the doctor would tell you, hey, you can live, you can live your life. You don't have to have surgery, but if you're younger and you're active, you're never going to have to be able to have a normal active life. Your knee will not be able to support activity with no ACL. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Even now, just got to get it done. I don't want my quality of life to be impacted by not being able to be active.
And
yeah, sure.
What is it that you do for work? Because I actually never even spoken to you. I know I have an idea of what you do, but does it require a lot of physical work? Are you standing most of the time? What is it that?
So
what's your daily? What's your day to day, man?
Really is a mix, because I aside from being inside sales, I'm also kind of like a service writer. We take care of a hydraulic shop. So I'm a hydraulic specialist. I specialized about a little over 5 years ago. And we do everything, obviously hydraulic related, for anything that's work truck related. So the dump trucks just on the road, the bucket trucks, the snow plows from the city, everything that has an assisted system that needs power somehow to operate, right? For the dump to lift up.
The lever for the hydraulics.
Whatever the hydraulics for the snowplow, the blade needs to move, be engaged. The salt coming out of the back, it's all hydraulic driven.
Wow, I never thought of that, but it's crazy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so all that stuff takes a hydraulic system. Not to go too far down the rabbit hole of being detailed, but it works off of your transmission. You got a pump that runs everything off of that.
Hydraulic fluid.
Hydraulic fluid, all that good stuff. And now, just this past week, I got dumped some more of a leadership role in the shop. I tell the guys what to do and when to do it to keep things in order, make sure everything's as is. And, we don't have our people waiting too many days for their parts or whatever they need. So it's been interesting. So I'm office setting, but I'm also up and checking the shop back and forth all day.
Okay, so you do all work, working around and you're staying a little active.
Yeah, I stay a little active. I, pick up heavy stuff here and there. Steering gearboxes that the trucks use. That's also a big thing that we do. And that's also hydraulic driven.
Who's your communication with on the day-to-day? Like, is it with your coworkers as well as customers, or?
Yes, it's a nonstop educating people, sourcing parts, trying to help either the end user or shops, or like ComEd, big customer, City of Chicago.
It's a big shop.
Or all the little truck shops that are around, Exo diesel repair shop, all the over the road truckers break down, or all the dump trucks in the city, or any other semi that needs work. There's so many trucks out there. You got to remember that the trucking industry is the biggest industry in the world. So the need for this is always going to be there, and it's just so many things. So it's every day it's the same thing, but same but different.
Are you ever just like shooting the shit with people, or is it all business?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you have to shoot the shit. You have to have fun. You have to laugh, mess around with your coworkers. Can you imagine going into an office every day, sitting in front of your computer and just being completely serious about your work? I think it'd be miserable.
Yeah, sure. Do you enjoy that aspect of it? Like the social?
Yeah, of course. I'm a social guy. I'm friends with everybody. I'm that guy in high school that was friends with everyone. So everybody knew, you have your soccer kid, you have your soccer group. But man, I would talk to the football guys, the basketball guys, the drama kids. There was no oh no, you're from drama club? No, I don't want to talk to you. No. I talk to everybody. Everybody's free.
Yeah, I was a bit like that myself. I like to intersect a lot of different worlds. What so do you ever feel like, I was thinking about when we arrived in this podcast, how much communicating had we done throughout the day? Were we kind of properly lubricated for an exchange? And yeah, because sometimes I feel exhausted after especially with communicating with kids, and it's just rapid fire and I just want to not talk. But there could be a steadier stream of conversation that makes you just feel
I'm right. Good. I'm right. I'm pretty tired at the end of the day every day. And I actually feel bad because it's, a lot of days I come home and, Layla's like, Papa, and she wants me to go play with her. She wants me to, give her the attention that she wants. And I just want to take a shower, eat some dinner, sit down for a little bit. But so, yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to balance, but it's normal. I think that's everyday life. It's part of having a kid. And like Tuesday, I'm tired. I went from work to therapy, came home, took a shower, made some food, and here we are talking now,
That's a long day.
I've also got a little business on the side, so I've been working super long days every other day, to try to get that going and make some.
Little side hustle. What's going on with that?
Yeah, a little.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I can elaborate. So before I got into hydraulics, I had my own transportation thing with a cargo van. Eventually, I got away with it when the market was pretty bad, and that's how I got into the hydraulic side of the truck industry. But now I kind of reopened it, made a few better choices, better. We're older and we're wiser, so I set myself up a little better this time, as far as LLC, business, full, like legit, as you would say, company. So it's just same thing, kind of like transportation, whether it's anything. There's no restrictions.
You picking up parts? You got like a Sprinter or something? What are you running?
Parts, pets? No, just a small SUV.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like your Uber on steroids. I do Uber often with it as well. It's actually really good because Uber has expanded as well. And this is coming from back when Uber first came to Chicago. I actually did Uber for a while before I got married. And then kind of left it after that. And now I reopened that window, but now Uber has grown a ton. So it's not just, like taxi, like taking people. You have Uber Connect. You can pick up a box from somebody. Hey, I need this box. Can you take this box to my friend's house?
Yeah.
Sure. You put it in the Uber Connect. I pick up a box. I take it. I deliver it. Done deal. You have your ride share with pets. People don't want to ride with other people's pets in the car. But maybe, somebody doesn't have a car and they want to take their dog to the dog park. Jump in my car. We'll take you to the dog park. It's no big deal. So it's been like that. And
so you got your full-time job and then you're doing this on the side.
Yeah.
So you're primed in conversation right now. I mean, you're having conversations with just about everybody, all walks of earth each day, huh? Or twice a week?
Yeah, I've seen a few things. I've heard a few things. I've experienced a few things. Going back to like 2014 when Ubers first came to the city. And now it's a lot more chill because now you could rate your rider. So I can leave a review for if they're, a shitty rider. I can let Uber know.
What would a shitty rider entail if they're like talking loudly on their phone the entire trip?
You know what? I don't really mind that,
Right. I wouldn't think so. Yeah, what would be bad?
As long as you're not being rude.
Yeah.
But no, like suppose, for example, like I guess if you're taking over, you're actually supposed to wear your seatbelt. If you're a rider, not everybody does it. I don't really care if they do or not. But I guess if they're a bad rider, if they're telling you to drop them off somewhere else that they put, if they're, just being assholes about their trip, rude, or anything else that might come up, if they're belligerent drunk, it's a bad. You don't want to taking over if you're completely wasted.
Are you kind of envisioning what these riders' greater lives are like through your little sliver of experience in there?
Oh man, you can kind of tell some people's like, I guess where they walk of life. You can kind of pick up a little bit of that, and I think a lot of it has to do because I've experienced so many things. We've moved, a lot of big life changes, different countries, a lot of culture, a lot of, I like to travel myself, and I like.
And I mean, I feel like soccer is kind of this great window into just all these different cultures. So if these clubs and follow the World Cup, at least you get these little senses of
what is life.
Yeah.
And you were just visiting some clubs over in England, right?
Yeah, spring break in England was pretty cool. I was at Arsenal Stadium. I was at Tottenham Stadium, Hotspur Stadium. I love it, man. Soccer culture is great. I love cycle culture there.
Do you given your Palestinian heritage and stuff, do you ever like bring that up in conversation? I mean, I feel like, you don't really speak Arabic or anything, or some phrases maybe.
We know a lot of words here and there. I can dissect. I can probably dissect the conversation, but not as like fluent. I can pick up on words and kind of piece it together. And that was unfortunately my grandpa's fault, because he actually refused to teach my dad and the siblings when they were in Peru, because he felt like they weren't going to need it or wasn't going to help them, be there or progress in Peru, I would say. But, we're talking about a time where we weren't as globalized.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he felt they would have, people would have maybe been racist, or, I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You think that's like the only reason, or is it just plainly because it was easier to speak the home language at the time? Because that's what happened in my house. I mean, both my parents they both speak German, but it was just easier to speak Spanish because they just kind of grew up in Argentina. Was that the same case? When I asked them, they're like, well, I mean, it was just kind of hard to just get around speaking German to you, It wasn't like on purpose. It was like, this is not going to help. Do you think it was something around those as well? Or
I don't know.
Was he really like, I'm not going to speak Arabic to you because it's just not going to help you in life?
And funny thing is, I mean, we never talked about a lot with my dad. I never got to ask him too much about that, but he would hear my grandpa and grandma speaking Arabic all the time, and he actually knew a lot more than he would admit. But yeah, I never actually got into it like that to ask him what the reasoning was. But you're right. It might have just been that, so many years in Peru that Spanish just kind of took over. And
I mean, do you ever think about the connection too with you and your daughter, like, and her, reluctance to pick up Spanish at times? And like, that's almost like your dad's situation with Arabic in a way where, the environment and language is English. And in that case, it was Spanish.
But the difference is that she has that.
She's being invited to do it. She's being invited to learn.
You try and teach her Spanish, obviously.
Yes, we try. And I mean, my mom tries to speak to her in Spanish about everything. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's a thing that she's not aware of. Both grandparents, both grandmas speak Spanish. My mom is, until like she really doesn't understand, then my mom would like, kind of piece it together in English for her.
Yeah, but Jackie and yourself, it's fluent Spanish, so it's pretty easy. When you guys sit down and have dinner at the house, Saturday or like Sunday, lunch with your parents and Jackie, and what is the table like? Is it a mix of Spanish and English, or a
little bit, but it's English with Jackie's parents because Jackie's dad doesn't speak any Spanish.
Oh wow!
But with as soon as we step into my mom's house, we're speaking Spanish. Mm-hmm. Just by default, we're all speaking Spanish. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then here and there, Jackie and I will speak English or whatever. But what's funny is that, here at the house, my house, when we're trying to hide something from Leila, we'll speak Spanish. But she understands. So we don't even do that anymore. But then she won't. She says, oh, I don't know. I can't say that in Spanish. I don't know Spanish. How did you understand what we were saying? Like, you're actually lying. You don't want to admit it.
Yeah, or it's just kind of like her subconscious knows, It's this 6-year-old mind works in mysterious ways, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's because I think it has to do a lot with her school and knowing that a lot of her friends don't speak Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe she feels a little bit embarrassed at this age to be like, oh, I know that, or I can speak Spanish, which is okay, but I think eventually she'll see that it's a weapon, a good weapon, right? It's a good thing to have under your belt. And she'll see that, hopefully she'll realize that it will benefit her. She'll have, a foot in the door and as far as learning.
Yeah, the second language is always good. How was it when you comparing yourself to, what are some of the things that you've you are doing differently as a family and as a father when you are remembering yourself growing up in Chile and the way your parents, for this language thing that we were just talking about. Like, what other things are you changing that you've learned how to change that you think?
Man, that's a tough question because, I think, people ask me all the time, what is the most important aspect of being a dad has been. And I think I can always fall back to the one takeaway with having more time with my dad, because he was always out working and traveling. And then it wasn't like, oh, it's just a long day, he'll be home later that night. No, he was gone for weeks at a time.
Yeah, because he was a driver. Yeah,
exactly. So for me, being there is the most important part.
So having the time to be at your house and having the attention to your kid, something that
and it means just at home, just first day of school, I'm gonna be there for first day of school. You know what I mean? Or any other life event that might happen.
Was it? Yeah.
It's just like that. It's just simple stuff like, Papa, I want to go to, can you take me to the water park Saturday?
Yeah.
And
exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's something that's what's happening just worldwide, where people are starting to understand that it's not just going out and going to work all the time. They're starting to understand that actually, the value to life is having more time instead of more money. And I see this a lot more now that, if you go back 30, 40 years ago, and that's what you're doing. You're kind of changing that as well.
We hope that along the way, we don't spoil her too much, because, she's not going to have the struggles that we had growing up, or she's not going to have those huge life-changing events that we. Yeah, but hopefully by talking and showing her that, hey, we worked for this, we're here with you, but you're going to have to work hard too, to get all these things. I think that's important, because I am a believer that hard times do make hard people. And, sometimes after a few generations, you lose that, you forget. So it is something you teach.
You just got to find balance. Is that how is that? Yeah. So you're always thinking about that. It's like, I want to make sure that.
Like I work a lot, but I also want to make sure that I make the time to be there.
Did your introduction into like auto mechanics come from your dad? Was he responsible for his own bus?
No. No, all those companies always had shops.
Where did your introduction to that business come?
Just in my interest in cars. Growing up,
I'm a Subi guy.
Yeah, and I've always been around, big buses, and obviously being a good driver means knowing your machine, being a good operator. So my dad knew a lot of stuff from being a driving and just so many years of experience. But yeah, I just, I don't know. It's just I think it's you're a car guy or you're not, and it's like a thing that you just have or don't. I don't know.
You think that being a car guy is one thing, but then you're not just doing cars. We're talking trucks. We're talking buses. Something that has to do something with your father in a way.
Yeah, I always have a connection with a strong connection with the old Greyhound buses, because those are the ones that they would get back in Peru, that company. They take the Greyhound buses from here, they'll ship them down via boat, and his company in Peru looked just like the Greyhounds here. They didn't even repaint them; they just changed it on the side. It was great. Those MCI buses.
Good old Greyhound. I've taken Greyhound maybe twice in my life.
Never in my life.
Hey, man. It's one thing you have to do, man.
My sister did. She told me all about it, so I'm good.
We got to go back to the we haven't asked the soccer questions, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wanna know what's life like as a number 10.
I think I'm a mixed number 10.
Yeah.
Elaborate, please.
Yes.
I used to, I didn't actually develop as a more, what would I say, devout midfield player in high school. I started playing forward as a kid. When I came to New Jersey, obviously with the connections that my uncles had, I went into a club team from ex-Peruvian friends and players. And the first day of my tryout, the coach put me on left back. And he's like, start there. Let's see how you do. And it lasted about 2 minutes before I was up on left wing, just pushing up the whole time. That same day, he's like, okay, you're not going to play defense. You're going to play, we'll see where you go from here. We'll play up. When I came to Chicago and I started playing, I was like, no, I'm going to play up top. I kind of just told people, I'm just going to play up top. So I played up top all through the whatever clubs I was playing for. And then it didn't get serious till high school. So freshman year, I go play and I put down that I was a forward. And I started out first few games doing really well. I think I scored like 13 goals in a few games. And
it's a lot of goals.
Right away I was bumped up to varsity. We didn't have a big school, so that kind of helped. And I was playing both the sophomore team and the varsity. So I had to split time between both of them during pretty much all 4 years. I mean, all the first 2 years, and obviously the last.
Would you play double headers, like, because they play back to back, right? Man, what a dream!
So usually, sophomore game was first. I played most of that, and then this is for the first year. The second year, I don't remember if I did it halfway through as well, but yeah, I would play most of the sophomore game and then about half of the varsity game. But that's where things change. So the varsity coach, he's like, I don't want you to play forward, I want you to play midfield. And I was like, I don't know if I want to play midfield, but okay. So I developed into the cam role, and I naturally picked up this center attack and mid role, and it worked great with my teammates and myself. And that the junior year when we won the regionals, I think I had 11 assists and a few goals, which in high school is good because we didn't have a whole ton of games. So, your season's compressed to a few months. So that was good. And that's where that kind of developed, and it stuck. And into college was the same. I stuck in the middle, and most of my teammates were all African-American players that had just gotten here. And I just kind of let them all do the running. We had a lot of good running dudes that could nonstop, 3 lungs back and forth the whole time. So I kind of took the middle role, but it was interesting to get them to kind of chill. Like, listen, we can pass the ball. Like, we can move it around. Like, these guys were like, they wanted to give go
full speed
and just
the whole
run.
time.
Yeah, whole time, just run. But yeah, it was good. That's where that kind of developed and went about. I always enjoyed playing up top and scoring. My uncle that played pro was a forward. I wish I had more time with him as a kid, but it's just such a huge age difference with my cousins and all that. I didn't really get to grow up with them, like hanging out or anything. So kind of missed that step with them.
And what team and what country did he play for?
My uncles played in Peru. I don't know all the teams they played for. I do know that they started very young. They were in teams when they were 16 and playing pro pretty much then, like first division.
Richard is leaving again.
Cheers. Oh, it's all right. Just
we've been going at it for an hour and a half. That's good. So I wanted to ask you who Mr. Sensei you're an attacker, and what is your who do you consider, who's your favorite soccer player all time? And then who do you think you resemble? Like who do you think you play like?
Oh, that's tough. I don't think I can answer who I resemble, but growing up, my number one, I think to this day, El Fenomeno, hands down.
Ronaldo. Olvídate, amigo.
Ronaldo, El Fenomeno, unstoppable. I mean, everything, speed, finishing, was insane.
That's crazy, man. Like the level that this guy had, and then actually he had a couple of surgeries and then coming back and just winning a World Cup after.
Yeah, it's tough. People, part of the reason why he had that haircut and that World Cup is so he can.
Yeah, why? I don't know the story. What's up with that haircut? It was everyone had that haircut. I was lucky I didn't get that haircut.
That haircut came about because there were so many rumors about his knee during the World Cup that they used it as a tactic to get people to talk about his hair instead of his knee.
Oh,
that's the only reason. They're like, we're going to do a stupid haircut and people are going to talk about this haircut and they're going to forget about the knee. And that's exactly what happened.
No, I didn't just talk about it. People went and got those haircuts.
Yeah, it was nuts.
You were already here. This is back in, is that 98?
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah, 98. They went to the World Cup. Did they play because France won 98.
France won that one, yeah.
What was the final in 98? France versus...
Isn't it like 3-0 or 3-1?
I can't remember. I know the final of 2002, Germany, Brazil, right? Yeah. Yeah, Germany, Brazil was 2002, I believe, and obviously Brazil won. Am I wrong?
That's right.
Brazil won.
What was that? Was that Japan you were playing at? 2002?
It was Japan. Korea 2002.
What a good World Cup. I remember that final. Early morning. I was already here. And
Jeez.
Man, what a game, dude. What were you, Richard?
2002. The only match I remember from that World Cup was USA played Mexico in the round of 16. And my friend and I tried to stay up late. It was like a 2 a.m. match. And then we fell asleep like right before the match started. So that was it.
Well, we were talking about the Brazil and the World Cup because Rafa's favorite player is Ronaldo Fenomeno.
I'm familiar with that guy. I had him on the back of my binder.
Yeah, it was a
you did.
For a lot.
I did.
That's how much influence this guy had. That a California kid.
Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. Fatherhood's tough. I think that in future episodes, there's got to be some system worked out where my wife takes this one designated night to be on wake up duty until I go to bed. Because this is
it's second episode, man.
I know. It's just we're still working things out here, Rafa. This is early days. We can't just play on the fates of a baby's sleep cycle,
Yeah.
I need to figure this out. There's like, I don't, there's just, he's like crying a little bit right now. You don't know when to go in though. You know, if it's like full blown standing up, crying. You know, we haven't done sleep training that way. He's crawling up. He's getting up. He's sitting up. I gotta go. This is ridiculous.
Hey,
I'm sorry for everybody involved in this, but this is reality here. This is all right. Well,
remember, yeah,
is he going again?
I'm going again.
He's going again. He's a good father.
But I rushed last time, so then it didn't happen. He was down for a bit. I got to go back. Oh my god.
That's okay. Good old. Well, you know about all this, right, Rafa?
What's that? Yeah.
You know all about this.
Actually, we were pretty lucky with me.
Yeah, you just slept through like a whole night or
second week out of the hospital. All night.
That's amazing. That's good.
It's amazing. It's good.
I guess planning for any more kids. What's the future like in the Fakuse household?
It looks like it might stay like this. I don't think Jackie's up for another one.
Yeah, I mean, how old is she? 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jackie's not. She's not a fan of going through it all over again. It's okay, you know. But I do want another one. I think 2 would have been ideal for me, but you know, what can we do? We do the easy part, as they say.
Yeah. What do you got going on for the rest of the week? Tomorrow's Friday, dude.
Friday, hopefully a lighter day of work. I'll probably go straight and then do some Uber tomorrow. Friday nights are usually pretty good.
I'm not really gonna do anything until like Sunday till I get to Frankie's pool party. I have nothing. I don't know what to do. Just the anxiety running through my veins right now. It's just I don't know. Like I'm picking out the outfit right now. Still I can't decide, you know, and because it's all about, you know, what would Frankie think as soon as I walk in that door, you know, like is it gonna be too much? It's not gonna be enough. So I'm really anxious about that stuff, you know.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Drew face to face, and I don't know if I've seen her once before, maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I think I've met her a couple of times. Yeah, so it's gonna be nice to kind of go over and just kind of get the team to be a little closer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's got a beautiful house in Wheaton.
We told him.
I told him I'm gonna be grilling.
We're gonna tell him that we're gonna go to his place so that we can be depressed about ours.
Look. Can you believe he did not let me do his HVAC system?
Really?
It's insane. Yeah. He said, hey man, you know what? Like I would love for you to come work, but
Drew had other.
It just didn't happen, man. I really pushed, but he didn't want me. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. No, no, he was all about it, but I really can't remember. But he had a really good contractor out to build his home, and just every aspect of it's just immaculate. I went and did a walkthrough with him just to check out his HVAC, and I don't think I can do a better job than what these guys did in their house. So kudos, whoever that is.
Looks like a lovely home.
So we're just gonna be waiting for Rachel until he hopefully returns, and we're trying to see how long we should make the podcast.
Yeah.
You know.
You can't too long. People lose interest, you know.
You watching the Women's World Cup?
Not too much, no. The time difference and then the work schedule just not working.
Yeah.
I watch a little bit of highlights here.
Yeah, I've been watching some highlights. It's just amazing goals. I've been trying to catch some games too. I watched Netherlands versus I can't remember the team, and man, what a great match.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that
Jamaica. No, was it Colombia played Jamaica, right?
I don't know. I wish I had more time to sit down and watch these games, but it's not happening.
Mm.
I'm getting a little bit tired. I couldn't sleep. I woke up at like 4 a.m. today because I couldn't sleep. I went to the shop and I finished. I got some bags for my motorcycle. That I got a Norden 901 now, and I finished up the bags and everything. I'm ready to go. I'm thinking about hitting up the trail, Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail that starts in Galena and it goes all the way up to Wisconsin. It's a 600-mile off-road. So I might be doing that in about 2 weeks. You've been riding?
Sweet. No, I can't.
You can't.
My legs a little bit more.
When do you think you'll be able to ride?
I don't know. I was thinking about probably next week. I think it's strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll probably try it next week. See how I feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, man. What a bike, man! That's a beautiful bike.
Yeah.
I think that we should call it and
let Rich go do his thing.
Yeah, let's register. So I think this is the end of episode 2.
Our boys.
And we'll see who's on episode 3. But it's good that you were the courageous one to say, like, "Yo, I'm in."
Well, there's still a lot of things to talk about and to dig deeper. We can have a part 2 to.
You're definitely gonna have a part 2, and then it's not gonna be us 3. It might be you and someone else, or who knows. But hey, he's back. We're about to say bye. Let's wait for Richard here. Hey, Richard, we were just saying bye, and we were gonna do like a part 2. Rafa's gonna be back on a podcast again. So yeah, we can mix it up.
No, for sure. I'm surprised you guys are still here. Thanks for waiting around for me.
Yeah, Richard, we're about to say our goodbyes.
No, I appreciate you guys putting up with my my hiatuses, and so really good to hear from you guys. So, Rafa, thanks for being on. Thanks for making the time. Boris, same.
Hey, man. Thanks for being here, guys.
All right,
boys. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Good night.
Marty.